What's up, Wholesale Nation? I'm Andy Speed.
And I'm Andre King.
So we've got an awesome show for you today. We little something about Andre and I. You know, after every meeting, after every networking meeting that we go to, after every lunch, you know, we'll do a quick download in the car, like what were your key takeaways from that meeting or that networking event? And it's something that we've done just by habit that's helped us grow. And you guys were a part of the download from the Punta Cana trip that we did with the Billionaire Boardroom.
Right.
And we decided to, since we interviewed Robert Hyder today, we decided to go ahead and include him in our discussion of what our key takeaways were, what we learned, and what the boardroom means to us. So, Andre, so Scale and Escape's coming up. So we just finished up this boardroom, and there is an event coming up. And what did the Scale and Escape business mean, or Scale and Escape event, rather, mean to you in our business?
Yeah, so it's funny that you asked that, because I actually just told this story a few nights ago at one of our networking events here in Houston, because the Scale and Escape started at that event. I met it was another buddy of mine. We were at this event, and I had seen the Scale and Escape, and I was at a point in my business where, you know, it was just me doing it. I may have had like a VA that was helping me out, but it was just me in the business at that point, right? And he was in the same situation, and I had saw something about Scale and Escape. It was just something about the whole term Scale and Escape that felt like that's why I needed to be there, but something was like holding me back, and I was like, well, maybe not, right? And maybe this stuff is not real. And so at the same time, he rolled out. We were at it was at the Jet event, like, so he rolled out and said the same thing. He's like, yeah, I saw this event going on. He said, hey, how about we go together, right? And so we ended up at the Scale and Escape event. And for me, it was a life changer from that point. You know, what I got out of there, number one, is that when I went in, being a solo entrepreneur, I realized that a lot of the things that was holding me back, it was just me. Right. I had never seen other people in the wholesale business or met other people that was in the same type of business that I were in that were succeeding in like big ways. Right. And a lot of those people looked just like me. They were younger than me. Didn't make a difference. Didn't make a difference what market they were in. But I just saw that they had teams behind them, that they were successful. And that was really the turning point in our business, is when I saw that, I said, you know what, if they can do this, then I can do it. Right. And so that was the major shift in the business.
And so months leading up to that, you and I have been dancing around the idea of working together and how that worked and what we were going to do and, you know, what each one of us would do in the business. And, you know, it was probably 2 or 3 months. And mind you, it would have been like 6-8 months that we were already masterminding together and comparing notes, and probably a year that we had been, you know, in the same rooms together, you know, each month. And then it kind of solidified that. And then once you came back, everything for us changed. Right. For our as individuals and for our business. I mean, that's really where it wasn't 1 + 1 = 2. It was 1 + 1 = 4. Right.
Yeah. At that point, then, you know, I think it gave me the confidence to go out and build a team. Right. And before that, I just didn't have the confidence to go out and build a team. I felt like I needed to be the one doing it. I think it was the same for the other guys that went from Houston. We saw, you know, over the year or so, we've seen a big difference in their business also, who, you know, because they went out to this event. So the business changed for me. Right. You know, I went from being the only person to, you know, Andy came on board at that point, started handling acquisitions. That moved me into dispositions, and we just went from there. We went from taking it from just the two of us to hiring people to do those positions so that we could step out of those positions. And so for me, the catalyst, the main point that changed that was Scale and Escape. Right, seeing that, okay, there are other people who are making this possible that can do this, and that was it. That was a huge game changer for me.
So yeah, and if you're sitting there thinking like, what's the next step for me? I'm serious. I'm committed to this business. You know, what do I do?
Right.
So, you know, we found the boardroom as a result of Scale and Escape, and Scale and Escape really is the gateway to the boardroom. Right. So it's a phenomenal organization, and it's, you know, Scale and Escape is what kind of revealed the possibilities, you know, to you. I still haven't been at Scale and Escape. I'm thinking about going to this one just because I haven't experienced it. Right. But I've seen what's behind the curtain now at the next steps to the business. And, you know, for us, it went into, I'm going to handle acquisitions, you handle marketing and dispositions, transaction coordinating. And then we played a game called Fire Andre for the next 8 months. Right. So we figured out what Andre was doing. We fired him. And then it was hire a sales guy, and then he followed me for a couple of months. I think we did 2 or 3 months of shadowing with that first acquisitions hire, and then we worked together, and then we hired the next one. And then I was fired from acquisitions, like, well, what do I do now?
Right.
And then it's go back to the boardroom, figure out what the next steps are in our business, and then execute there.
Right. And the other thing I look at is that if they only had, now keep in mind, like this event had some top-notch speakers, right? Billionaire speakers, like people like Jesse Isler was one of the speakers. But if I were to only get the people who were facilitating the thing, right? Like Sean Terry, like if you don't know Sean Terry, you might want to check him out. But he's probably one of the founding fathers of teaching people how to do this business, right? He has the Flip to Freedom program, but I had been following him 2 years prior because he was probably the best at teaching a new person how to do this business. And so to be able to hear him speak live at that event was also huge. To hear Kent Clothier, right, whose family's built this enormous business, right, and a lot of this started directly from wholesaling, to hear him speak, and also Justin Colby, another one who's built a sizable business in wholesaling, flipping. But just if I just went to just hear them speak, then that would have been enough. But they also brought in speakers from around the U.S. who are tops in their business, and we were able to learn from those people also. So it was just an exciting event, exciting weekend, and that's what led us, like Andy said, that's what led us to the boardroom. And we went from just seeing them on the stage to just talking to them just like we're talking to each other right now. Right. And from that point, it allowed us to skip some of the issues that they had in their business when they first got started, and we could fast track our business, and that's basically what happened. We were able to fast track because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're thinking like, what is the next step?
Right.
Consider going to Scale and Escape. I think it's made a world of difference in our business and in our lives and how we look at things.
Right.
You need to get in the right room. So for you to grow as an entrepreneur, you have to grow. You have to change. The person that you are today, isn't the same person that's going to be, building a $1.5, $2 million business in the next 2 years. So you have to grow. The best way to do that is to get in the right rooms and, rub elbows with some of the people that have been there.
Right.
Some of the people that have the same struggles or have had the same struggles as you. There's no better place to get that mindset kicked off than Scale and Escape.
Right. Right. And if you want to know how to do that, we're going to have the link to be able to sign up and learn more about Scale and Escape. It'll be right here in the notes. And also we have the information on the dates and everything right here. So just check it out. But again, if you're getting started in your business, you want to figure out how to grow and get to the next level, you don't want to miss this event. Simple as that. All right. And so, that's what led us to this interview today with Robert. This interview today with Robert is kind of a overview, I guess, our best takeaways that we have from our last boardroom event, which is our mastermind, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we're going to go through, today you'll hear some of the things that we took away from our event. We'll talk about some things like some of the people that were in our room specifically, like, how their business is going to grow over the next quarter, because we do this quarter to quarter. And so it's going to be a great interview. You're going to have a bunch of takeaways from it also. But again, if you have not been to an event like Scale and Escape, you need to make sure you're there. Okay. But without any further ado, I'd like to bring on Robert Hyder to join us, and we're going to start talking about the mastermind. All right.
What's up, Wholesale Nation? Andy Speed here.
Andre King.
And we've got a special guest, Robert Hyder. We just finished up a podcast with him, giving out some awesome information. But being that Robert is a part of the boardroom, we decided to ask him to go ahead and stay and participate in this kind of download or recap of our weekend.
Right.
We all understand the power of networking, the power of, you are the 5 people that you hang around with the most. And that's why we're a part of the boardroom. We're part of the Billionaire Boardroom with Robert, and there's probably another 15, 20 in the Billionaire.
So I guess real quick, Andy, because I know Trump had a boardroom also. So what is this boardroom thing you're talking about?
Okay, so it's a mastermind, right? So,
right.
We've been a part of. We're about to sign up for our third year, and in this 3 years, we've been. The structure is once a quarter you go and you pull your metrics and you talk about your business. You bring a share, you bring a need, and you present in front of a group of people of your peers, some above, some below, or ahead and behind in the business. You get feedback. And then it's kind of a competition. So who can implement the fastest and come back and make real change in their business between each of the masterminds. So, Robert, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
So we had a unique experience. We've been a part of the boardroom for 2 years. I know you've been around a lot longer than that. How long have you been in the boardroom?
We were the first ones to sign up for the high level one. We weren't into it. So I think it was actually September of 16.
Okay, so it's not that long, but you guys, you've been in the boardroom overall since 2016?
Yeah, that's when we signed up to be involved, yeah.
Okay, cool. So about a year longer than us. We started in 17, right? Yeah.
17, yeah. So
that's
we're about to sign up for our third year. So this quarter, it was a unique room. I think I was a little taken back. The first morning we're sitting in there and I'm looking around, I'm like, man, this is a powerhouse group of people that's in this one room. We had, 5 billionaire groups, 8 people in all, and then we had 4 or 5 of the elite members, and there was most of them were on the newer side of being in the business, and just some of the feedback that I was hearing, and it was a small room. So the format is, we're going to spend 2 days in this room together, and there really wasn't that many groups. But so we got a lot of feedback. I mean, we went over our time every time just because we had the ability. With a smaller room, you can do that. And the guys that were in the elite that are just kind of on that tipping point, it seemed like everybody was on the tipping point of the next level in their business. They got some amazing feedback. And Robert, you were a big part of that. So.
Right. And just real quick, just for the audience to kind of simplify it, when Andy's talking about with the elite, so our mastermind is broken down in 3 different levels. The boardroom is usually that person that's just getting started, trying to figure it out, which letter to send, right? And then we go into the person, the elite, and that's usually the crowd that's trying to scale their business. They got it figured out. Now they're trying to grow it and turn it into a business. And then you have your boardroom where now they have a business. They have another problem. They're having people problems and system problems and how to grow into other things. So to simplify it, that's what we're talking about with the different levels. Okay. And so I know, Robert, you've been in the billionaire group now for last couple of years, and we just joined that group. Last year is when we joined. Yeah, that's when we joined into it. But yeah, we like Andy said that the different groups that were in there, the elite got what they walked out of there with, I think was amazing, right? And same thing with us. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, honestly, it was a fantastic room. Just kind of started off really strong and just went. I was super honored that Kent and Sean asked me to run a room. This is the first time they had 4 mastermind rooms kind of going. So I was really, really stoked to be able to kind of run a room, and it couldn't have been a better first room to have. It was fantastic, and you hit the nail on the head, right? There were folks in there doing. The folks in DC did almost 300 deals last year, 300 wholesale deals. They're on track to do 400 this year.
That's crazy.
They were in the triple digits already in 2019. That's great. So to hear their level of issues and the stuff that they're dealing with, and then the stuff that they've already gotten past, which is kind of the goal, right? It's okay, the folks that are doing 75 deals that are trying to make it to 150. That's a whole different person. Well, these folks have been past that issue for a long time. They knew exactly what to do, how to solve it, how to handle it. So it was a really, really interesting group. And then the folks that were kind of early in their platform and really kind of jumping, they moved up from boardroom to boardroom elite, which is the middle level, and that was this conference. So it's they moved up. Well, they were on the brink of doing something pretty big, but just weren't quite there yet.
Right.
But the best part is they were so coachable that it was just, you can just see the light bulbs going off. And I just have a high level of confidence that they're actually going to take action and do, what the advice was. And it was great to be a part of it. And it was also great to have such a high caliber room just in general to be able to give those, those tasks and those messages and those, that advice to them. I think we're going to see folks that nearly double their business or 1.5 times their business in a single quarter. And then just to be off to the races beyond that. So it should be really exciting.
I would agree. I was kind of taken aback by the feedback that they were getting, and every single one of them seemed like they were receptive to it, that they were going to go back and implement. And us being on the other side of that curtain, we know that once they do that, it's off to the races. I mean, they're gonna see some massive growth. Was it the guy at Baton Rouge, Jay? Like as soon as he makes a few of the changes that we've recommended, he's going to blow up.
Right.
Without a doubt. I mean, he could literally double his wholesale business in a quarter, which is unprecedented, I mean, he has literally all the systems, processes, and you've got a fair amount of systems and processes that are available. They need tweaked, and he just needs to do and follow up, some of the advice that he got, and he will be on jet fuel. I mean, it will be crazy, the growth he has.
Yeah, and we talked about in our previous episode about KPIs, and like for some of them, Jay being one of them, just the fact of making decisions based on his KPIs is going to increase his business, right? Because we look at a lot of them, they were making decisions, but they didn't know why they were making the decisions, right? They had team members in place, but they didn't know why these 10 people existed and what they should be doing and what they were producing, right? Just those changes like that is going to be huge, and so I'm excited to see what's going to happen in the next quarter. With everyone who's in our room, but just getting the advice, like you said, there was 5 boardroom teams. I mean, billionaire teams that were in the room, right? And but about 8 or so people that were in the billionaire, and like you said, most of them. I mean, every one of them had been through what he's gone through, and and now that he has an answer to fix it, he can take that back. And you really can't get that from most places, right? You can go and try to find some people in your market and time down, but it's really kind of hard to get the ins and the out without somebody holding back information.
Well, 100%. When you get you get a room like that with 8 or 10 groups, right? And then 5 of which are doing 3, 4, 5 times the amount of business that you are, and you trust that what they're telling you is correct, right? Because there's a screening process. So you've kind of gotten past a lot of the limiting belief factors. So you're in a room at the front going over your business, and you've got 3, 4 groups telling you, hey, we've been where you are. This is how you solve it. And it's a consistent message from folks that are doing that amount of additional business than you are. Mm-hmm. I mean, that hits home. And you can't throw up roadblocks and BS and paralysis by analysis BS, when you have that level of focusing, stop, get out of your own way, go. Here's what you need to do. It is an unbelievable experience, and it's really cool seeing the folks where they are, that they're going to be able to take that action or take that information and take action on it. And it just kind of blows past all of the in the weeds BS. You know exactly what the problem is. You know how to fix it. You know who to call to do it. And then all you have to do is do with high confidence and just go. Go back home and go. And you should be able to run.
I think one of the biggest impacts is Carlos. This guy, he had the golden handcuffs with his $700,000-$800,000 contracting business that he's built. He made the decision to shut that thing down like nothing. Like he's hearing it from 4 or 5 different people that this is your problem.
Right.
It's this distraction, and he's like, you know what? I'm shutting it down. And we were thinking like it was going to be like a 6-month phase out. He's like 30 days, it's done.
Right.
It's like, man, okay. So I'm going to follow up with him, and I think he actually said 60 days.
Right.
But I was pushing for 60 days. He said
he's 30.
Yeah. He's trying to get it done.
So I'm excited to see what he does, because that's really what was holding him back. And he has a wholesaling business.
Right.
He knows how to build a business, but he didn't have any time.
He couldn't focus on it. I mean, he had this business, this wholesaling business, and this rehabbing business that were producing substantially more income with substantially less work, right? And then he had this contracting business that was a fair-sized contracting business, but on an equal basis, it wasn't producing anywhere near as other businesses were. And his goal was so great; it was clear that this is where he wanted to spend his time. So his goal was in line. It just, I think he created a roadblock in his mind that I can't get rid of this. This is what I need. This is where my income comes from. But once you have that data and you have enough folks that have kind of been around that enough, like, dude, man, this is a no-brainer for the folks that are listening. And I'm sure that he had a bunch of reasons why that couldn't happen or he shouldn't have that happen or, all of this noise. But to the exact same point we were just talking about, have that caliber of folks in the room being like, there's no reason why you should have this. If you just do 5 more deals, it'll net the same level of bottom line. You're not hurting cats. You're not messing around with a bunch of employees and trying to get payroll lined up and get them placed up and hearing complaints from the folks that are doing the construction for us. Kill all that and just go. And the best part is that he heard it and agreed to immediately take action. I mean, you could tell. Fortunately for him and for us, his wife was in the room, so it was really cool to see her reaction. But she was like, thank God. She's seen it for a while. She knew. And she was like, thank God it's not me telling him what to do. He'll finally kind of go. And it was really, really exciting. It was cool.
Yeah, it's funny you said that.
That's great things to come.
Yeah, it was funny you said that because that was the point I was going to bring across is that a lot of people that show up and, of course, go through their business, a lot of times someone's already told them and they have the thought in their mind that they should stop doing this and do that, right? But it's really the people, it's after you sit in a room and you're not the first person to go and maybe you're like 4th or 5th to go and you've seen presentations. At that point, you're like, okay. When you get up there, you can hear it, because they're saying, yeah, I know I need to stop doing this, or I know I need to track this better, because they've seen other people have the same exact issues. And that's the thing I like about these rooms is that the people that are in the room, either they've been there or they have the same exact issues. Just by listening to their presentations, you can fix your own problems because you're usually having the same problem. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, you figure out 90% of it just by listening to other people's presentations. And then, and then one, you're already there part of the way in your mind, and then when you get folks that you trust and have already been where you're going to be, and they're telling you point blank, like, here are what your next 5 steps look like, go. It's life changing.
Right.
It's cool.
So who do you think is going to have the biggest impact between boardrooms?
So it's kind of twofold. One, Carlos, if he does what he said he was going to do, he'll probably feel the biggest impact, right? Mm-hmm. He's in a scenario where it takes a little bit because he's going to have to unwind that, and it's going to take time, and then he's going to give him a huge amount of freedom to really scale up. So he's probably a 2/4 away, 3/4 away from really feeling how big that impact will be, just because he's got to clean up some mess before he can jump. I think Jay and I think Jason in where was he, Boise,
right?
I think Jason and Jay are going to have the biggest, most immediate pops. They both were kind of primed. They had some hurdles that were just in their own way that they needed to get past. And I think hearing the response from the room and being kind of coached through that will move a lot of it out of the way. And I think they're at a point where they can, just dump some jet fuel on it and just really freaking hammer it. So if they do what they say they're going to do, I think those two should have big impacts. And those are the kind of folks I'm thinking of getting, 2x, like doubling their business in a quarter kind of concept. So I think
what about the brother and sister team?
They're on the brink too. They're in a scenario because they've got some outlying factors to apply. They've got to get past a couple of things before they can jump. They'll see impact. They'll see big impact. But obviously they've got to, I wouldn't say clean up some stuff, but they've got to get past some of their real world hindrances that they've got to kind of get past.
Right. Being on the job and things like that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And it makes sense. I mean, their situation makes sense. It's just, okay, well, we can't expect them to have a 2x quarter,
I don't know, firing the sister from cold calling and scaling, with 2 or 3 people that are making $6-7 an hour. I think that may be pretty powerful for them because she's only speaking with the warm leads now. She's not cold calling while driving down the road. I think that'll have an instant impact in their business and give them really the only chance that they have to hit their goal. And they have a pretty audacious goal. They want to quit the jobs and they've got the golden handcuffs. They've got the high paying jobs and one's in sales, the other one's an engineer. So, they've got that. But they made a commitment to quit, so they were eager to listen, they're eager to implement, and they're going to have a chance of succeeding and hitting their goal by November. So, Robert, what do you get from these types of events? What do you get from these events? What do you get from these events? I mean, you hosted an awesome room. That was like the best content that I've seen yet. Because I think it maybe was just because it was such a small room.
Right.
But the feedback and the receptiveness, like usually you have people that are arguing for their limitations.
Yeah.
Everybody that was up there presenting, including ourselves, we were just taking notes. We were like, shit, we need to do this. We need to do this. Okay, we got it.
Right.
No, I mean, honestly, this was different for me because this is the first one I ran. Most of the time I'm in the crowd and, chiming up and giving as much advice as I can from the crowd, but to run it was a different deal. So, I mean, it was a huge, how do you say this? It was a different way of looking at it. It was really cool to know that you're going to have these just super high level amounts of impact on these people's businesses, and their lives. I've been thinking about it, since. Coaches do what they say they're going to do, like knowing that you had that level of impact to like make them more successful, and then the amount of people that they'll be able to impact will be huge. You could change 50 people's lives by what these 4 people or 5 people are going to do. Right. So that's something I've been thinking a lot about, and it kind of shook me up a little bit. Like I think it was really, really, really cool. And then, that's for kind of high level picture kind of mindset stuff. Beyond that, I've got some really, really good advice from that thing. Folks that were analyzing their lists and then cross-analyzing them on a zip code basis. Oftentimes when we're like from a marketing standpoint, if we're doing paper mail and a list stops working or stops producing at the level that we expect it to, or we have other channels that are producing substantially better, and we can take the funding from that and put it somewhere else, we do that. And to hear that the DC folks were saying, hey, we're analyzing on a zip code basis, so instead of dumping that list, we're just going to dump the zip codes that aren't producing at the level we want them to. That was, honestly, that blew my hair back so much that it took me like 20 minutes to really understand it. Like to really have it, that was monumental. I mean, that'll have a...
Yeah, that actually didn't click for me until we got back. And I was like, wait a second, the power of doing that.
Right.
Because there's zip codes that we've been mailing since day one that we've never bought a house in. Mm-hmm. There's actually an entire island that we've been mailing to that we've never bought a house on.
Right.
So it's like, you know what? Why are we spending this, and it's not much. It may be $1,200 a month.
But you can focus that in other places.
But that $1,200 a month is one deal in a zip code where we do buy houses.
Right.
Yeah, and hell yeah. And you drop $1,200 a month.
Yeah, times a year.
So what your deal cost is $3,000 a deal, right?
Right.
Which in 2.5 months, just from that channel, you should get at least one more deal, right?
Yeah.
So that's what, 5 more deals. Mm-hmm. Say, okay, well, $15,000, $20,000, whatever your average spread is. We'll call it 15 for a minute. So what's that? $75,000.
Right.
And literally, that's, if you put it in the right channel, that $75,000 goes right to the bottom line. Literally, nothing else changes.
Yeah.
And my guess is if you went and dug through and really analyzed it, it's probably, I don't know, but I don't know what your guys' level is, but I bet there's more than $1,200.
Yeah. There's probably like $3,000 or $4,000 a month in waste if we were to base it off of zip codes that we've never bought in.
Yeah.
Which is huge. That is going to change our business. And that's actually the second golden nugget that we've gotten from them.
Yeah, that wasn't the first one, but and I even took it a step further from doing marketing, is that when they said that what that told me is that they knew a lot about the seller. They knew a lot about the people that they're getting into they're bringing into their funnel. And so for me, it took me back and say, you know what, I need to go back and look at what we've sold over the past year and really see who was that person. Where did they come from? What was the age? What was their motivating factor? What was all the things that led to it, and see if I start seeing some commonalities. And then that's another way to kind of tweak your marketing versus just sending it, right, with nothing else. And that's how you start, like you said, when people are like, well, direct mail's not working, this is not working, that's how you start bringing those costs down, right? So that was a huge takeaway for me on that.
Well, and it's something that we and everyone needs to hear right now. So I would say a majority of folks right now are feeling increased marketing costs per deal, and margin compression. So, it's like every industry. As it gets a little bit more mature, you see folks getting better, and you see folks that aren't willing to get better get washed out. Right. So now it's prime time to start feeling that. Call it the freaking, printing industry or the printer industry. That industry just got washed out, quick. At some point, folks just have to be better. They just have to get better. And these are these little things that you're like, oh, wow, that is absolutely a best practice that people should be implementing, should be taking into. Right. That's huge.
Yeah, and you see, and I was saying that you see why somebody's getting ready to do 400 deals a year, right? You see how they're just strictly dialed in. I mean, they even went as far as looking ahead. The deals that they sold, they go back and they're looking at what did it sell for? Were the repair numbers correct, so that they can accurately tell people that we get our numbers about 92% correct, right? They want to be exactly where they're, so they want it. So when they give that message out to their buyers, the buyers are like, okay, yeah, I can buy this property, right? Because I know that their numbers are pretty much correct, right? And because they verified that information.
Well, so 92% of the time, the information that they're giving to their buyer, the people that are buying that investment deal from them, their after repair value and their construction numbers are in line.
Right.
One, that's unbelievable. Good for them. Freaking fantastic. And then, so that's so beneficial when you're going to sell it, right? But at the same point, when you get a buyer that's coming back and saying, hey, no, your numbers aren't right, or we can't do that, or they're trying to hit you, bang that price down, you have 100% confidence when you're negotiating that deal saying, hey, no, that's not going to happen. Here's the deal. 2% of the time we're right. I'd be willing to bet you have no idea what your numbers are. So don't come in with that. Either you're the wrong person or you're going to get in line. Go. Right. And just the speed that you can make that adjustment and say, I need to spend my time working with this buyer, or this buyer needs to get set way over here on the freaking D- list because he doesn't know what he's doing. I'm going to go on to the guys that I do. That do know what they're doing. So the amount of time that they saved by just working with the right folks that can occur by having that amount of knowledge, having that information in your pocket, it's huge.
Yeah. And that's how you do 400 deals at about $33,000 to $35,000 a pop.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's not a small sum.
Yeah, you just can't guess your way there.
Yeah.
So no.
It is very humbling, to go into a room that's so diverse on the extreme ends of both sides, and then come out with so much, versus the other rooms where we're in the past where we've picked up some tips, right? So use this system, use Stratix for RVM, or use this software. This one was like complete mindset. Mm-hmm. And then, looking at you and looking at Scott and then Robin and Jeanette, and it's like, okay, this is where we need to go next. Mm-hmm. It's that level of detail in not accepting mediocrity.
Right.
In some of our business. And it caused us to go back and look in the mirror. We talked about it all the way home. We drove. Yeah. And it was like, all right, man, let's circle around the block because we're not done with this conversation yet. This is where we need to go next in this regard.
Right. And so, and that's what, for us, it was, we've always we followed the EOS system somewhat, right? And, but we've always missed the biggest part of the EOS system is the accountability part of it, right? We've followed KPIs, things like that, but we've never went back and really focused in on the accountability, and we see what that does to our team members, and we're doing them a disadvantage if we don't, because then it hurts them financially, right? If we don't do those things. So it's those type of things that you look at that and you're like, wow, we know Robert wouldn't put up with that. We know that's no way that they could put up with things like that and be successful, right?
Jeanette might.
Yeah.
One of their problems was letting somebody go.
Yeah, but at the same time, she has a COO that's like, I'm not letting it happen.
And her team. I mean,
so she has somebody on her team
is driving it.
Right. So
yeah. Well, it's like anything, right? It's like, why do old people go to Florida and yell at people who run in the pool? Because that's all they have left to do. They're doing 400 deals at $35,000 spread. I mean, they're fucking dominating, right?
Yes.
So it's like, okay, we've got this issue. This is our one issue. Like, I think she's probably like, I don't know if it's a big enough issue for me to mess with it, which is a great spot to be, They've done so many things right that they're probably just like, all right, well, we'll figure that one out. Which, not many people have that option. But to your point, though, the accountability piece of it is just you're absolutely right. You're doing everybody a disjustice if you're not holding them accountable. And then if you don't hold this person accountable, well, then now everyone else thinks that's the status quo. That's okay, and that just can't fly. And now, they're coming up like our EOS scorecard. Like from an EOS standpoint, you have a scorecard that tracks your KPIs and whatever you think is most important. Then you set a range of what's acceptable, and then if it's outside that range, then it's discussed. Well, ours actually turns the inputs red if it's outside the range. Mm-hmm. So you immediately know. And then when you look at the 13-week tracking period and you see that someone's got 3 weeks in a row that are red, like, one, that should never happen. Two, hammering on that variable or figuring out why. But then two, if you don't, now it's acceptable just not to meet the expectations.
Right.
So now that entire message is blanketed over your team. And that's a huge variable to take into account. If you don't take action, now everyone thinks it's okay. Mm-hmm. So when do you hold them accountable and when don't you? There's just confusion. There's an underlying confusion in what you have going on. And this gets to the root of that fast.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a huge one for us.
So we one of the topics for conversation, we actually have reevaluated our core values as a result of the boardroom this last quarter, which is a first. But we spent the entire day on Monday when we got back. We canceled our Tuesday. Yeah. Monday and Tuesday.
Well, we had a long trip. So we drove 4 hours plus we had like an accident. So we were probably like 6 hours in the car together.
Yeah. So Monday and Tuesday, we spent all day reevaluating our business, what's important to us. Because quite honestly, and for me, I left with a very sour taste in my mouth after our presentation. Because we are not, it had been probably 2 quarters since we went to an elite meeting. So we hadn't presented in a while. We maintained our KPIs, but like Andre was saying, we weren't driving action or decision based on our KPIs. They were just kind of on the sidelines.
Right.
So and it's shame on us for doing that because we know better than that.
Right.
But when we were presenting up there and when we put together our numbers, first off, I was excited when I got there because we weren't in the schedule. I was very excited. I was like, man, I don't want to have to present this. And then we got up there and we presented. And I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed the entire time that we were up there because we're not hitting our goals. We're not doing bad by any means. We're ahead of where we were last year. Revenue-wise, deal volume we're not, but we've had some higher margins. But it was absolutely embarrassing because we were not doing what we know. And saying it and having that uncomfortable feeling up there in front of the room sparked a massive change in us. Enough to where we're going to come back and reevaluate who we are as a business and say, look, this is who we are. If you don't fit in line with this, looking in the mirror, mostly, then it's just not what we want to do moving forward, right? But our team is going to fit in this, and they do for the most part. Like we've got some shifting to do, but my frustrating piece was the realization that we could do just Andre and I the volume that we've done this quarter. We kind of had a Jay problem, right? Jay had way too many employees for his volume. Well, Andre and I, just me running sales, him running the office and dispositions, could do the same volume that we're at year to date with ease.
Right.
That sucked. That feeling sucked, and it's like, well, why do we have these? And it was a progression for me as to my thoughts about it. And I needed to not come in on that Monday. I was like, look, man, I can't do this team meeting because right now I'm just frustrated. And then we talked about it. We put together a plan. We're going to implement that plan. And it's all a result of being uncomfortable in front of the room. And mind you, we're some of the more established in the room. So, if we can get that value from you guys and just seeing and presenting, then we definitely see the value in the group and love the culture of the group. I think culture for me is the piece that puts it over the edge. Because I mean, if Jeanette and Robin doing 400 deals a year see the value of being in that room, why wouldn't somebody that's trying to get to that next level?
Right.
Absolutely. And I mean, honestly, there were so many takeaways from what you just said there. But culture-wise, right? That's the culture of one. The group's fantastic. It's just the people you just want to be around, right? But beyond that, you take the culture piece of that group and then you apply it to the company. It's like everyone in that room has that feeling. They wouldn't be there if they weren't. They're so internally motivated that folks in the crowd probably hadn't quite put together what had happened during that period. Because we're looking at that quarter, we're looking at a window. And unless we would have seen your last quarter, like, and really dug into it and saved all that data to really hold you guys accountable as it relates to that, we might not have known that. But internally, you absolutely knew. You know, you were feeling that pain. So you were forced to hold yourself accountable at that point, which is huge, right? Because then you take that other piece. You couldn't meet on Monday because the frustration level was too high. Well, that's typically an indicator, right? So it's like, if you are really frustrated about something, it's probably because you don't know what the issue is quite a way, or that you're holding yourself so overly accountable for what had happened in the past that you're not like kind of looking forward, right? You're in the rearview mirror. Because that's something we're always talking about. When frustration hits for more than just a short window, it's, well, why is it? What is the variable? What is the issue causing it? And then let's solve that, because sitting here in this frustrated state gets nothing. You're just on a damn, you're on a rocking chair. You're doing something, you're just not going anywhere, so it's like, no thanks. So, but to have the culture and then be able to take that back and overlay it over your team and use that fire of the frustration, find the variable of that needs to be fixed, and then take that passion and that heat and apply it. And if you have the right team, and that's kind of what I was saying earlier, when you look at our scorecard, and if they don't meet expectations, the indicator on the KPIs goes from black to red. Well, if it's red, and then it's red for 3 weeks, well, I shouldn't even have to say anything. They should feel the way that you guys were feeling. Right. Or by inverse, that I've certainly been in that scenario too. Like, shit, I've been sitting back on my heels. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I see it. It is in my face in front of a group. You should feel that and be like, guys, I'm on it. I blew it. Here's why I blew it. Here's what I'm going to do to fix it. Go. Like, before it's even brought up. That's the same thing you guys were feeling as soon as you saw it.
Yeah. Right.
And that's what right. So I could probably keep going on this point forever, because it's a big variable.
Yeah, and that was the biggest point for us. Like, on that Tuesday, the only thing that we could have possibly done if we had not went and we shut down like a breakfast place that we shut them down that day. And then we went to Starbucks after that and finished up. It was best to not do it at the office. But if not, we were just going to show up to our meeting with the team and not have a plan and just blow up on them, right? And that wasn't going to be the right thing to do.
I was ready to blow up.
Yeah, and that wasn't going to be the right thing to do. So we said, okay, we will postpone it. We come up with our plan, and then we deliver our plan, and so that people know where we're coming from, why we're here, and what we're doing to be able to help them get to the next level as well. And the only way to do that is sit down and take a day and reevaluate.
Well, it's growth, right? Because you guys would have came in with the shotgun approach and just threw a bunch of shit against the wall, just pissed with no direction. Hey, we're pissed. Why isn't anybody doing this? What are we doing wrong? I don't know.
Just do more.
What you need to spend some time on. Hey guys, this is where we're dropping the ball. These 3 points, and now with strategy, you can take action and get the correction, that much faster. Right. And that's awesome to hear. It's cool. I mean, it's like, and it literally happens to everybody. It happens to us. We kind of did a very similar thing. Yeah, I'm sure Robin and Jeanette. I'm sure Jeanette was probably like, when she got done with that, and she was probably like, man, I wasn't thinking super clear, and I had other stuff going on, and man, when you actually kind of lay down the variables, that's a no-brainer. And it was really made that decision from this big hurdle of all these, side issues and other variables, and like you've got like one of two things to do. Just go. And just that clarity. And it doesn't, like folks out there that do 20 times the revenue that she does, or 100 times, that have the same variables. So, but it's just identifying it and taking the right action, or taking the right corrections, and then take action. And it forces that. So it's super exciting.
Right.
Absolutely. So this is the first, actually, the Billionaire in Punta Cana was the first time that we were really able to talk. And this time it was a continuation of that relationship. And I probably talked to you more than I talked to anybody else, like at the bar and whatnot. The stuff in between the meetings is extremely powerful, just because you get to rub elbows. And again, it's rubbing elbows with people of the same mindset, that have the same struggles, the same understanding on to some level. Extremely powerful, man. And again, I appreciate you giving me some feedback and sharing some of the stuff that we're doing. Couldn't be more grateful for the conversations that we had, because it gave me some perspective, on what I need to do next, and kind of how I need to reshape some of my thinking. So again, I appreciate your feedback.
Absolutely, I'm happy to help. I mean, you guys are freaking awesome, and you're, you know, already crushing it, and like, you know, you can just see huge upward trajectory. So I'm you know, I'm excited to do anything I can to help. That, you know, with you guys specifically, but then also with folks in the group that want it. There's nothing worse than like trying to give advice and trying to help someone who doesn't want it enough.
Right.
You know that. So it's great to hear that. I appreciate it, and I'm happy to do whatever it takes.
Okay. And you know, so I'll leave with like, for people that are like trying to get into rooms like this and trying to be a part of masterminds, I think Andy hit it home. A lot of time it's the conversation in between, right? I take back to Corey. We met Corey Geary about a year ago, almost a little over a year ago, but we didn't meet him in like a elite boardroom setting. We met him at like the bar afterwards, and that was a lasting relationship. And now we've learned a lot from him. He's learned a lot from us, and we continue to be great friends and business friends, right? And so for people that are trying to get in those type of rooms, you know, really connect with the people afterwards, right? So you can really have some one-on-one time and really download. And I think that's what helps you out a lot.
Well, honestly, yeah, 100%. And the cool thing about it is I kind of think of that, like, obviously you have to be doing business and scaled up to a level to be involved with like Billionaire, right? But that's kind of the concept of the whole thing.
Right.
It's you learn the crux in Elite, and you have 3 days in Billionaire where you know who you need to be talking to and what you need to talk to them about and what your hurdles are. Now you have 3 full days of after the event bar time, you know, to really settle in. But you're absolutely right. That's when the magic happens. That's when stuff really comes together. And then hopefully you make a connection. You go and meet each other in one of your markets, and that's where you put it on fire.
Yeah.
Like, you learn this stuff in this meeting, you really get closer at the bar, and you make it impactful, and then you go to someone's market, and now you put some jet fuel on that fire, and it's going to run. So that's the next piece, I think. Yeah. And that's what Corey did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's huge.
All right. And so with that, was there anything else that you had there?
Man, I don't have anything. If you're listening to this and you've been debating or you want to take your business to the next level, the Boardroom's a great organization. I don't have a extended experience with other masterminds that are out there, but either way, get in a room that fits your needs. I think the Boardroom's a great platform. I think you would agree, being that you keep signing back up. So
yeah,
it's funny you say you don't have an extended background when we've been a part of a couple of masterminds.
Yeah,
big ones too.
But I mean, there's so many out there that I don't even know anything about.
Right.
So I don't want to be like.
Yeah, I guess there are a ton of other ones.
All these other ones suck, and Boardroom's the only one. I think Boardroom's great, but I can't really speak to some of the other ones that are out there.
That makes sense.
So
sure. That's what I found, but to the same boat, there's a bunch that I haven't been involved in. But. Yeah,
I love the authenticity of the group. Kent. The culture, it means so much to me because I have seen behind the curtains, a few times in some different organizations. I've been a part of 4, and the Boardroom is like stands apart,
right?
For sure. So, and it's the authenticity of Kent and Sean and Justin. They drive that culture. Culture's driven from the top down, which is something that we had to look in the mirror on,
right? On
a few things. But yeah, they absolutely drive that culture, and it's helps everybody succeed, which is awesome.
Good.
Yeah, 100%. Nothing else to say about that. That's it. Right. They care. And
mic drop.
There it is. Well, again, thanks, Robert, for giving us that time to talk to you. Of course, we got to get out to his market. I think he called us out on that part, that you got to go out to the markets and visit people. So we're going to have to come out and visit you. Maybe sooner than you think, but we'll definitely be out. But again, thanks for taking the time to talk to us and our audience. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Robert.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
All right, y'all come back when you're here.